Welcome to Ecoholics. Now we are going to discuss the topic inferior and Giffen goods. We will understand what is the meaning of these two types of goods and also how do we understand or come to know whether a good is Giffen or inferior through the use of indifference curve approach. First of all, inferior good. An inferior good is any commodity which has a negative income elasticity. So please remember that the income elasticity of demand for any inferior good is always negative. It simply means that in case the income of a consumer increases, the consumer will not buy this commodity. He will switch to some other good which is more desirable to him, and the quantity demanded of this inferior good will decrease. So, goods whose demand falls with the rise in consumers' income is known as an inferior good. With the income of a consumer, when the income of a consumer rises, he can afford a higher priced article which is more desirable to him. This can be illustrated through the example of a millet. Millets are coarse grains, and generally the moment people have a higher income, they switch to more desirable qualities of grains, for example wheat. Or we have kerosene. The moment a person's income allows him to buy cooking gas, he will decrease the consumption of kerosene. So kerosene and millet here become inferior goods. Here there will be a strong substitution effect as compared to the negative income effect. To understand more about the substitution and inferior good and income effect, you can refer to our compensated demand video. So, inferior goods have a strong substitution effect. It simply means that the number of substitutes is higher here, and this effect overpowers the negative income effect. Due to this, the law of demand is not violated. The law of demand stays into place and the demand curve continues to be downward sloping. So, in case of an inferior good, demand curve, which depicts the relationship between price and quantity demanded, continues to be negatively sloping. But in the case of income, we have income and we have good X. Here, the relationship between income and quantity demanded of X is negative. So we have a negatively sloping income effect. People always get confused as to what is the difference between a Giffen good from an inferior good. Let us understand that Giffen good is a subtype of inferior good. It is a part of inferior good, but here we do not have any substitutes. So generally, Giffen goods are those commodities which are going to be purchased by a person who is not able to satisfy his want through any other cheaper substitute available. For example, if a person is buying gruel, which is a very light consistency soup in the Western countries, or bread, or low quality tomatoes. In case the price of any of these commodities increases, the consumer will not be able to purchase any substitute item. So he will continue purchasing the same commodity even though the prices are increasing. But the moment price of these Giffen commodities drop down, the consumer will immediately switch to some other commodities because his real purchasing power has increased. So a drop in the price of the commodity does not lead to an increase in the quantity desired of the same commodity. Here, because consumers shift to better quality substances, the quantity demanded also falls of the Giffen goods. So here we can see that in the case of Giffen goods, the price and quantity, they both have a positive relationship. So these commodities do not conform to the law of demand, and the demand curve is upward sloping, and price and quantity demanded here have a positive relationship. People will demand more of the given good when the price rises, and vice versa. The difference between given and inferior goods can be well understood through the use of indifference curves. These indifference curves allow us to break down the price effect into income and substitution effect. In the case of inferior good, as we just discussed, the substitution effect is going to overpower the negative income effect. And in the case of given goods, the substitution effect is going to be lesser than the negative income effect. This will allow the curve of demand to be positively sloping in the case of given goods and negatively sloping in the case of inferior goods. Let us now break down the substitution and income effect and understand whether a commodity is inferior or given. We firstly make a graph wherein we show quantity demanded of good Y and that of good X. We depict the consumer's price line. At this price line, the consumer has some utility that will be achieved. This utility is shown by this indifference curve IC1, and we are marking the price line as AB. So, at the point of tangency, the consumer finds himself at equilibrium. He will be demanding commodity Y1, X1 at this given price line, and we can remember that the price line is depicting the relative prices Px by Py. So we have equilibrium 1 depicted by these prices and quantities X1, X2, X1, Y1 at the same. Now, in case the price of commodity X decreases, we are also considering commodity X to be an inferior good here. So here we are assuming that good X is an inferior good, the commodity that the consumer will not buy if his income increases. So as the price of X increases, we are showing a normal relationship that the price line rotates outward. At this rotated prices or this rotated price line, we will have the consumer reach a higher level of utility shown by a new indifference curve IC2. We will be marking this point of tangency of the two curves, and we have quantity X2 which will now be desired as the consumer gets a lower price for the same good. Now, in order to understand whether the substitution effect is larger, equal or less than the income effect, we will have to go for decreasing the consumer's real income to the original level of utility. So here we will be shifting the consumer from AB1 to AB double dash, and this line will be taking the new prices, but the income will be the earlier income that the consumer started with. So here we get a parallel curve A double dash, B double dash, which is depicting the new price line when the consumer's income has been compensated to reach his old utility level at IC1 and his old income. So we have equilibrium 1, equilibrium 2 and equilibrium 3. We know that the equilibriums which are lying on the same indifference curve with different relative prices show the substitution effect. So effectively here, E1 and E3 are telling us about the substitution effect. X1 to X3 is the substitution effect. The change in income was this much. So here the change in income is shown by E2 and E3 again. Let us mark with some different color. E2 and E3, which is telling us about the income effect. So income effect is going to be this portion. And whatever is going to be the gap between income and substitution effect gives us the price effect. So here we have the price effect, which is X1, X2, and we have substitution effect X1, X3, and income effect depicted between X2, X3. So here we can see that the substitution effect is overpowering the negative income effect. The consumer is still consuming more of X as the prices drop down. So this is the graphical way of demarcating a product as inferior or a normal product. So please remember, your second equilibrium or your final price effect must be lying between these two other equilibriums with the compensated values, or the substitution is going to be overpowering the income effect here. Let us now understand how the indifference curve approach allows us to determine the given goods. So here the substitution effect is going to be overpowered by the income effect, and indifference curve will allow us to break down the price effect into the two and compare their volume. Here we start with the original price line. We are assuming that good X is a given good and good Y is a normal good. At this price line, the consumer, say, starts with an indifference curve IC1. So we have PA, which is the price line, and the indifference curve, which is telling us the utility value. Now, in case the price of the given commodity decreases, now the price line will be rotating to the left. Say this is the new price line. This new price line will allow the consumer to buy more of both the commodities. Please note, the new indifference curve will be tangent at a point before the original equilibrium. This was the original equilibrium, E1, which was giving X1 as the quantity. And now we have E2, which is at X2 quantity. So, as the price of good X is decreasing, the quantity bought of X is also decreasing. This is the definition we have followed for given goods. So please remember to mark your final equilibrium level E2 before E1. Also, we have to divide this entire price effect X1, X2 into income and substitution effect. For this, we will be shifting the new price line PA dash inwards. We will be making a parallel shift, and this new price line will be tangent to the old utility level or to the old indifference curve. So this new price line P double dash A double dash is depicting the new relative prices but with compensated income of the consumer. The compensated income is now allowing this quantity to be bought. So the final equilibrium here is E3 and we're marking this point as X3. Now along the same indifference curve IC1 we have two equilibriums E1 and E3. We know that the points of equilibrium along the same indifference curve shown by different price lines tells us the substitution effect. Substitution effect essentiates that the value or the utility value should always remain the same. So E1, E3 here are our substitution effect and also we have E2 and E3 which is showing the same relative prices but different incomes or the compensated income. So here the income effect is shown by the gap between E2 and E3. So this entire value X2, X3 is the income effect in the case of a given good X. So now we have the income effect and the substitution effect shown by these two areas, and the leftover area which is X1, X2, this is the price effect. So the price effect is positive. The decrease in the prices of X has led to a decrease in the quantity also purchased of X. But as we can see, income effect is much larger than the substitution effect. So here X2, X3 is overpowering X1, X3, or the income effect is overpowering the substitution effect. This leads to understanding or realizing that the good in question is a given good. So we can be grateful to the indifference curve approach, which allows us to differentiate between inferior and given goods. Now let's summarize all the points of difference between these two goods. So inferior goods are those goods which have a negative income elasticity. Given goods also have a negative income elasticity, but in the case of inferior goods, price effect is going to be negative, but in the case of given goods, the demand rises with the increase in prices, or the price effect is positive. Given goods violate the law of demand, inferior goods follow the law of demand. Given goods have no close substitutes, but inferior goods have alternatives of better quality available. Given goods affect the overall price effect as positive, and here the price effect is negative. And lastly, demand curve is upward in the case of given goods, and the demand curve is downward in the case of inferior goods. So this ends our discussion on inferior and given goods. We hope you've understood the topic, and for more content, please like, share and subscribe to our channel Ecoholics. Have a good day.